What is a Salal race? A group characterized by one genetic trait unique to one specific group of people. 2. The very first race on this Kawak Taha, planet Earth, have been found to be Nagaru, Negroids. That is a fact, confirmed, and Hakaktal Hakak, actual fact. 3. How many Salalu races are there these days? 4. There will always be only 3 originals or root races. However, one of them is on their way to extinction, which is why they have to mix in every 300 years because they naturally have recessive genes. 5. When it is time for a race of people to go, it is time for them to go. So on the planet, many people will talk about, like for example, people ask the question about the Mayans and say, where are they? How come they disappeared? Yeah. And people will talk about things like the dinosaurs and say that they're now no longer here. Yeah. They've also disappeared. And this is to do with extinction. Polar bears, that's another one. Yeah. And in life in general, when you look at things like tornadoes, earthquakes, meteorites, they will tell you, like, for example, the dinosaurs were wiped out by a meteorite. So there are things that take place on the planet, natural disasters that leave like craters. But when you look at these incidents and go back in time and say what happened, it could have caused a catastrophic event to the point where beings or animals or things become extinct when you look back in time. So this is what we're saying again, that when your time comes by way of natural nature, when it's time for extinction, there's nothing anyone can do about it, because by the way of natural nature, it's supposed to happen and it will happen. So going back to verse 5, Partarak, racial deception, it says, when it is time for a race of people to go, it is time for them to go. 6, the very first from whom the other 2 were Ladud, born, is the Nagar-u-Salal, the Negroid race. 7, some traits of this race are thick skin, full lips, melanin-rich skin, a full heel at the back of the foot, a curved jaw, bone, and large eyes. 8. There are 9 species or different types of the Negroid race, Nagaru-Salal. So this is why sometimes people say, why can't we all get along, even within a specific race? It's because you have different species of the root races, and the Negroid race has 9 species. And sometimes these species clash in terms of personalities, etc. 9. Secondly, the Magal-u-Salal, the Mongoloid race. That's the second root race, of which they have 3 variations of their race or species, commonly known as Japanese, Chinese, and Korean. 10. This root race of the Magal-u Mongoloid also have a unique trait, that is their upper eyelids, which is called an epicanthic fold. So what the Partarak is saying and the master teacher is saying, that with each race they have one specific unique trait that's unique to them. So for the Negroid race, that would be our hair. This is why back in the 60s and the 70s, people were wearing an afro. Yeah, that's something that was common, that that was a Negroid person. You look at the bands like the Jackson 5, look at OJs. There are many people back then that would wear their afro, what they're called an afro, but it's a natural. And then for the Mongoloid race, they have the epicanthic fold. So when you look at their eyes, the way their eyelids are is very unique to them. Let's continue. 11. The other 2 root races have the top eyelid of the original Magal-u Mongoloids. 12. They also have farar, fur, originally the only one with hollow strands. Each strand of hair is hollow, right? So in comparison to, say, the Afro hair texture, their hair is hollow. So when you look at it, it would stick out. When we say hollow, it's like when you look inside the actual hair follicle, it'll be like that. It's like hollow. Yeah. So this is why the hair doesn't curl. It's more likely to stick up. And even when they put rollers in it, it will still unfold. Okay. So then 13. They also have other traits. The shoveled teeth, very hard or brittle bones, making them prone to arthritis and a certain tint to their bashar skin. 14. The last race is the Caucasoid or the Caucasoid race. 15. They are 6 species, so they have 6 species of types of the Caucasoid, the Caucasoid race. The 6 species are Irish, Gaelic, Scottish, Polish, Finnish, and Welsh. 16. They also have other traits such as a long torso, alkaline features, melanin recessive skin, ankles that merge into the heel without a curve, low brows, and square jawbones. 17. What about the Dracos, the Indians, who have 7 species to their race? 18. They are subraces or aboriginal, that is, only original in habitation of a place on Taha Earth or in a country. 19. There are many subraces, many aboriginal or aborigines, as in abnormal, irregular, not usual, exceptional of the originals. 20. As you also have Asiatics. What does it mean? A person of Asia or an Asian. 21. Is there an Asiatic Negroid or black man? 22. Yes. Those who are Nagaru Negroids who migrated from Afafraye Ka'a, Africa today, eastward. 23. For Asia merely means easterly, eastern. Speaking of a person, it's an Easterner. 24. Does that really make them Asiatic black men? 25. If you look at it, that it is what he is, not who. 26. No matter where you live on this Kawak planet, nor how long, you will always be who you are. Afafraye Ka'u, Africans, Nagaru, Negroids, or from Africa. 27. It's Salau, Tasha, race, deception, to think you are other than who you are, because of who you have become, because of location. Meaning, if you had fruit from Thailand and brought it to America and planted it here to grow, would it change what it is just because you transplanted it here? No, it would still be a Thai fruit. 28. With these traits, you have a variety of people from all races that share a combination of these features. 29. You have seen tall and short Nagaru, Negroids, that is within the 9 species. 30. Some are 4 feet like the pygmies or little people of Africa and South America, and some are tall like the Watusi tribe. 31. You have Magalu Mongoloids who are tall and very short, with round eyes, and some with dark skin or light skin and even freckles. 32. With the Caucasoid Caucasian, you have melanin recessive skin, making them prone to skin cancer, and have green, blue, or colorless eyes, while the other races have dark brown. 33. As to mixing your Natat seed and becoming lighter skinned or multi-hued, it does not matter, because Parnatharu, the overseers, gave each of the 3 root races traits unique to each. 34. As to the Nagaru Salal Negroid race, your trait and only yours is your Wabar, hair. None of the other 2 original races, Magalu Mongoloids or Caucasoids, have Wabar, hair. 35. They have Farar, fur, flat, thin, straight, even curly or hollow, yet not like lamb's wool. 36. They have goat-like Farar, fur, as most other animals. 37. Which is a sign of who is, in fact, the root race with the strongest genes, even after much seed mixing. 38. For Nuapians, you see the Wabar, hair of a Nagaru Negroid may twice become like Farar, fur. 39. When a newborn Mawas baby is Ladud, born, because her or his genes are weak, as he grows older and stronger, his fur transforms into hair, nappy, kinky, and woolly, as Nagaru Negroids have. 40. And when in old age, Nagaru Wabar Negroid hair transforms to become thin, flat, straight or curly. So the master is saying that even though Nagarus or Negroids have Wabar hair, there are 2 stages in their development where, or in their life, where it is fur, meaning that when it's a newborn baby and when you grow older in old age. 41. Why? Because as one ages, their genes become weak again. So their wabar, hair, can become like farar, fur. Yet DNA testing can still reveal the race of its owner, such as the hair from mummies of ancient Mahmat, Egypt, appearing flank or straight after mummification, yet not fur, yet hair. 42. So wabar, hair, is the unique trait of the root race, and the very texture of his hair is the proof that he has the strongest genes. 43. And the Caucasoid race, root race, also has a unique trait. It's the lawan, color of the iris of the ayantui, eyes, is lighter than other eyes of the other two root races. Laben, white. Ramed, grey. Zarek, blue. Kader, green. And other combinations of these. 44. So each root race has their own unique racial trait of identification, their own identity. 45. The Nagaru, Negroids, unique hair. The Magalu, Mongoloids, unique eyelids. The Caucasoids, unique Ayantui, Lawan, eyes color. 46. It's plain to see that only one of the three is in fact the original root race, the Nagaru, Negroids, for both Magalu, Mongoloids, and Caucasoids share some of the same traits, revealing they both came from the original Nagaru race, the Negroids. And these days, the race mixing results you can find the traits on others' subraces. 47. All were originally from the Moldatat, mother of all races, the Nagaru, Negroids race, and all who live on earth, anywhere on earth, were originally from Afafreye Ka'u, Africa. 48. That makes the Nagaru Negroid race the Moldatatu, mothers, and Moldadu, fathers of all people on the planet, their gods in Jasad, flesh. 49. In time, other beings came to this planet from other star systems other than Pa-Sa'at, the Orion star system, and Pa-Sabatat, the Sirius star system. So this is really explaining racial deception in that the root races, which are three with their different species, and then the sub-races which come from the combination of the mixtures of these three root races. The Negroid race originally from what we call in Orion and Sirius. But then other beings came from other star systems too, okay, other than from Orion and Sirius. So 50. And these were all not agreeable, Mukwan'u, beings or creatures. 51. Some took residences under Bahar at the seas, while others in the deep caverns of Kawat Taha, the planet Earth, while others chose to mix their DNA with those who departed from the Afafreye Ka'a, Africa, and dwelled eastward on what's called Mesopotamia, right? Because remember that the Mesopotamia region is where Abraham was, where the Anunnaki came and settled. And so those beings that moved from Africa eastward were dwelling there, and these other beings came there and mixed with them. 52. So those in Mesopotamia came in contact with the Anakim, a giant race from the Draco star system, who would use them as bara, food, and with another race transported from Kama'at, the Pleiadian star system, who chose to breed with them, taking their daughters because they have the mitochondrial DNA. 53. These stood some 7 feet tall, looking very humanoid, yet living on dark planets, hidden from the Pareyev, the sun. 54. They were very pale, with Laben Ayantui, white eyes, which only appear blue because blue light has the shortest wavelength, and these rays of light are scattered more widely. Okay. 55. They actually had Laben Farar, white fur, transparent and colorless skin, Jasad, flesh, and were eaters of flesh, and Damam, blood drinkers. 56. These Mukwan'u beings bred with the Mukasu Caucasoid 6,000 years ago, and of those who mixed or bred by way of them. 57. They learned much from them of killing, lust, lying, and stealing, which resulted in some of the sons of pure Nagaru Negroids mixing with the Zazastatu women, and from their mixing and their unnatural sexual activity resulted in the curse of Barasi, leprosy, of the sons of Canaan, in 4004 BCE. 58. And they became their gods, their overlords, who gave them what they call Za'am, religious opinion. 59. These overlords, Kama'u, Pleiadians, asked of the Adamites to kill and offer animals, Jasad, flesh, and Damam, blood, for them called offerings and sacrifice when they asked them to offer a Haman, human, for Bara, food. So this is where in the biblical sense you start to see a lot of blood sacrifices and blood offerings, and then people have picked those up into many practices today. But it's because of these beings from Pleiades that were asking their offspring to offer blood sacrifices and flesh sacrifices to them. 60. In Wakat time, they taught them to war and kill others and called them their chosen Salal race, yet meant people. 61. They divided them into Rananat names called Kabal'u, tribes, by their breeding. 62. And roamed and spread over the Kawak Taha, planet Earth, mixing with others and imposing their will on others. 63. Whomever did not accept what they offered to be worshipped, their gods, and chose one of their own as their one god. 64. They gave them dialects of tongues and names for each tribe, and names of their Gadadu, gods, and the one Gadad, God. Yeah. So when you see that word God, yeah, remember the vowels. It's always about the vowels are interchangeable. So A, E, I, O, U, right? So this change to the A gives you Gad. That's where the word God also comes from, and is Gadad. Gadad, where you get the word, actually means demon. Remember, we say don't believe us, check it out. So going back to 64, they gave them dialects of tongues and names for each tribe, and names for their Gadad gods. And the one Gadad god, right? If you go to Genesis 65, in Genesis 11, go to Genesis 11, yeah, verses 1 to 3, verses 6 to 7, and verses 9. Yeah, check those out. It speaks about the Tower of Babel and how the people were united. Genesis 11. Yeah, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, that they found a plain in the land of Shinar. When you're saying Shinar, right, that word Shinar is where they get the word Sumer from. Yeah, that's S-U-M-E-R, Sumer. Some say Shuma or Shinar, and that's dealing with Mesopotamia, that region. So it came to pass, as they journeyed from the east, and they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick, and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, right? So again, when you're talking about brick for stone, you're talking about builders. And Nimrod, or Sargon, as he's known, Nimrod, yeah, he is known as the first real mason. Nimrod, that's the son of Cush, yeah, he's known as the first mason. So when you're hearing where they're saying things like, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly, and they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar, and they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. And it says, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. And the Lord said, behold, the people is one, and they have all one language. And this they began to do. And now nothing will be able to restrain them from them which they have imagined to do. Go to, let us go down, and there confound their language, that they may not understand one another's speech. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because the Lord did there confound the language of all the earth, and from thence did the Lord scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth. And then again, when you see that word Babel, yeah, you can actually see two words, Bab and then El. The El is where it ties into Elo, and then that goes to Elohim, because it's talking about these gods, right? Remember the Elohim, that's the singular, and then this is the plural, yeah? And then obviously this can be spelled, again, using the A-E-I-O-U. Instead of Elohim, you can spell it with double E, depending on the translator. So Babel, actually where you also get the word Bible from, because this is where the confusion starts, because that word Babel, El, ties into Ilion, okay, because they're the Most High, or their God in the Sumerian doctrine is Anu, who is known as Ilion, El. So you can translate this word in the scriptures. There are many ways you can translate a word. So you can say Bab El, Bab Ilion, or Babel, yeah, Babel. You can even hear many phonetic meanings, as in Bible, yeah. So Bible, it also can be by Bill, because William Shakespeare also had a hand in this book. And Babel actually means confusion. Why? It says they were no longer able to speak. Their language was confounded, that they may not understand one another's speech. So today, the religious world, they do a lot of babbling. They don't take the time to study and research words. And when they're talking, they're really talking a lot of confusion when you start from Genesis and ask them, what does the word Bible mean? And they will tell you anything from, I've had so many different, it's a little book, they give you all kinds of explanations without doing the etymology on the word. Do the etymology, because if you, I think that's spelled right, etymology on words to research where they come from. All right, let's keep going. So from then they scattered them abroad upon the face of all the earth. 66. The Lord was Enlil, right? Enlil and his two sons, Nanna and Ninurta. So Nanna, let me change this pen. Nanna, so you can spell it like this, because a lot of the tones are broken down. So without the I, you just say Nana. But Nanna is one of the sons of Enlil. Yeah, again, Enlil can be spelled like that, or it can be spelled like Enlil, like that, right? And his other Ninurta, yeah, Nin, we say Urta, Ninurta. So these two, 1, 2, are the sons of Enlil. And Enlil, obviously, and his brother Enki. Again, Enki can be spelled like this, or it can be spelled like this. Because the Q and K are also phonetically, in terms of the sound, the same. So when you start to read and study language, you start to see like things like the B and the P are interchangeable, because the pronunciation and the tone, some people couldn't say it properly, so it sounds like a B or a P. So today, when you're talking to people, when you're saying certain letters, they you have to then say you have to use the code to, Oscar Lima, to try and, because when you hear a letter, you can't always make it out. So you have to use the code like Lima, Oscar, etc. Anyway, this Lord was Enlil and his two sons, Nanna and Ninurta, who came down to earth, right? 67. Enki and Murdoch, who were in Afafreka, Africa, they mixed their seed with the African Zazastatu, African women, right? So Enki and Murdoch, they went to, so obviously Enki and Murdoch, right? He's, again, that's spelled in many ways as well. You can spell it like this with a Q, right? So Murdoch, they went to Africa and they mixed their seed and produced children. This is why sometimes Nagarus or Negroids will say they're Anunnaki, or they want to tie it to the Anunnaki, where we also know we have the original Natharu who came here first, who produced the original root race. But with the mixtures, you do have people that tie into the Anunnaki bloodline. 68. This is one way that the Mam, the blood of the Anunnaki, mixed in with Pa-Nagaru, or the Negroid seed, because these Anunnaki, Enki and Murdoch, mixed in with African women and went up under Pa-Natharu, okay, the overseers. So this is why you have a lot of people that will say Negroids, I will say they're Anunnaki, and perhaps they are from that bloodline. But then you have those children of Panatharu that are pure, that never mixed. So 69, once Nimrod returned Africa from his father. So remember I mentioned Nimrod, Nimrod, right? His father's Cush. Again, Cush can be spelt like that or can be spelt like this. And you can even see the word Kish, yeah? You see, everything is down to these vowels. Very important when you study what they call Semitic languages. And we call Shemitic languages that go back to our original language, Misbatia or Sabaik, known by various names. 69. So once Nimrod returned from Africa, his father's land, which is his father's land, Cush. So you hear Kishites, slightly different from Cushites, yeah? Cush, Africa. That's where his father's land was, Africa. That's why they went and mixed with those African women. And he brought back the tones of that Sakar land as well, his ancient tongue, and used that language, Nuapik, from Napatan, right? So again, research Napatan, yeah? Research Moro. And that's that language, Nuapui. So these are the keys to research the language. Ancient Mahmad, ancient Egypt. And he changed the frequency of the language spoken in Shinar. Remember what I said, Shinar was Sumer. Where did I write Shinar? Yeah, here you go, Shinar, yeah? So he changed the frequency of what they were speaking, the area over which Enlil ruled. Remember Enlil, yeah, Enlil was ruling over that land, Mesopotamia. 72. The people unified and became Wahu Akal, one mind, okay? One soul, one mind, Wahu Katat, one body, Wahu Ba'a, one soul, which is why this overlord feared that nothing that they thought to do would be out of their reach. So this is why it's so important for us to unite in this day and time, speak our own language, because once you're united by mind, you're automatically united by body, and then you become one soul when you start to unify and work together in love. So Enlil feared this, and today it's the same. You know, the children of Enlil, the children fear us uniting and speaking our own language and having one mind, thus having one body, because your mind governs your actions. And once you're united mentally, you're automatically united physically. That's why the knowledge is so powerful. And then you become one soul. All right, 73. There will be nothing that they would not accomplish because of their Sanan, unity. 74. Once Enlil saw that they could no longer control the people mentally and were not affected by the broadcast from Nibiru. Remember, Nibiru is the planetary ship. They were sending messages or frequencies, yeah, from Nibiru, right? You can, the U sound, remember the U again, the vowel, gives you that kind of polarity. Okay, so he said that they were not able to affect them by the broadcast from Nibiru. He, along with two of his sons, Nana and Ninurta, and with a coven of Mukshaftatu, witches, right? So they gathered a covenant of witches from Mesopotamia, and they cast a spell of division on the people and separated and divided the people through the Lahaj, the language, and by Sabat, hue, or Lawan, color of skin. So they divided them based on the hue or the color of their skin and by language, much like what was done with the so-called slave trade, the slave kidnapping, where people were separated and put into different camps. 75. There are also Tasu Sabah, 9 hues of the Nagaru Salau, that's the 9 species of the Negroid race, that was used against the people to instill the spell of division, right? As I mentioned earlier on, that's why sometimes it's near impossible or hard for us to come together, but it can be done with one mind when you start to learn the language to break the spell. 76. Those that were the same complexion could communicate with each other, and if they were different, they could not. 77. If there is no communication, there is confusion and there is no unity. This is why I was saying that when you're trying to speak to people that are babbling, right, there's no communication. So it's going to create confusion because you're telling them something means this, they don't research it, they just go by what they've been programmed with, and there's no communication. So it just becomes confusion. 78. This was unsuccessful because different hues were naturally attracted to each other, married and mixed in and had children, so that plan did not work. However, the mental effects of the spell are still in effect today, and it is the reason why people don't work together as they should, and for example, why musical groups do not stay together, although they produce beautiful music together. 79. Then gave stones with rules, then they were given, or they gave stones with rules to follow and how to kill and offer animals' flesh in offerings, and who would not obey was to be killed and put in the ground or cave. 80. That the Anakims, when we say the Anakims, right? Anakims, we're really saying Anunnaki as well. It's the same thing, Anakims. And you hear in the Bible that Jabarins, or you call them Naphalim, the Nephilims, the ones that came down, Anakims or Anunnaki. Okay, so 80, that the Anakims could come and later take the Mawat, the dead, and eat their Jasad flesh and blame it on wild canines, as this what they would do also. 81, as their Anakims came, others of their tribes also came to earth, such as the Raphaim and the Zamzumim and the Imims. 82. All under the Anakims, who were the gods of the Kaanu, the Canaanites, from beyond the Par-Kawat-Tahar, the planet Earth. 83. They would come to Earth and be called messengers or Malak, right? This is where you get Malaika, or like the angels from, right? Or Malak in Hebrew, from the ancient Molech or Melech, as recorded in their Bible book Amos 5:8. Seek him that maketh the seventh stars and Orion, and turneth the shadow of death into morning, and maketh the day dark with night, that calleth for the waters of the sea, and poureth them out upon the face of the earth. The Lord is his name. And of the Molech in Amos 5:26, but ye have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch, right? And tune your images, the star of your God, which ye made to yourselves. 84. In time, the Habaru, Hebrew, and the Shasasu, Israelites, mixed with the Kaanu, Canaanites, who was bred by the Anakim or Anunnaki, who told them to spread their DNA with all others, who birthed subraces or aboriginals and created religions and holy books with laws to fear. 85. These Safa'at books, scrolls and stones, which were given to the Moloch or Malakim, called angels or Chabatu in Nwapik, who would come to earth in Hammam, human form, to instruct their chosen Shakasu people on what to do. 86. And would protect them from all others, yet had no Sakham, power over nature. 87. And taught them to kafuf, fear them, or this or that would befall them. So they teach in their religions, fear God, or you will suffer manrar, hell's fire. 88. And from 4000 BCE, their dragon man gods gave them 6,000 years to rule, as recorded in their Bible, Revelations 13:2. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. 89. The dragon gave them power to Radud, rule, have dominance for 6,000 years. 90. From 4000 BCE, to prepare a harvest on earth for them to take from here to their Kawak-at planets as bara, food. 91. They asked that 144,000 be prepared to serve them as their slaves, as bovine cows serves mankind now. 92. From 4000 BCE on down to the year 1, all was well, and they offered animal sacrifices and warned and killed for the Anakim, that they would have Hammam Jasad, human flesh as well. 93. All this was done, and they followed the instructions of these beings as their gods called them Elohim, Iliun El. So I was saying to you before, Elohim, Iliun El for Anu, Adonai, Hashem. Hashem means the name. El Olam, El Barith, okay? El Shaddai, that's what I was saying. When you say El Shaddai, yeah, where I said God, right? Shad, the word God also relates to Shad. And when you add the El Shaddai, where you have the double D and the AI, El Shaddai, El Shad, that means demon. This is why it's important to learn the language. El Shaddai, and they came to them in many forms, Satars, Leviticus 17:7, and they shall no more offer their sacrifices unto devils after whom they have gone a-whoring. This shall be a statute forever unto them throughout their generation. 1 Samuel 5:2-7, and human forms. 94. As Chabat-u, angels of Nawar, light, of Narar, fire, from Wakat, time to time, they abducted many of them, their chosen people, that they grafted in place of themselves for food, as they were on the Draconians' menu. So this is what we're saying when we said that the Draconians were eating the Pleiadians, and the Pleiadians begged and asked for them to give them a food substitute, and they created these Adamites for food, but they still from time to time will still abduct them as well. 95. Then in the years, one began to incarnate and have Janus, sex with human, Ashashu, females, again to breed these sons of the gods. 96. They prepared the 144,000 who were separated from the Nagaru Natat, Negroid seed of Ghanum, sheep, from the scapegoat or rams. 97. This caused the real Messiah or anointed one of the Nagaru, Negroid seed, or Kabal, tribe of Judah, to come forth. 98. And this one said, I came only for the lost sheep, woolly haired of the house of Judah, for many Judahites also had mixed with the cursed seed of Canaan. 99. Only one of the tribes remained pure or whole, unmixed. That was Judah. Okay, the Judahites, not the Jebusites. 100. This one, Yeshua, Isa, Jesus, was born April 17th, 6 BC, and died at the age of 120, 114 AD, was of the tribe of Judah, and a hybrid or brid for short. 101. His parentage consisted of three beings: Joseph, his father, the angel being Gabriel, and Mary, his mother, who herself was also a special prepared being. 102. Mary's mother, Anna, was specially prepared to give birth to Mary, who was specially prepared to give birth to Yeshua, Jesus. 103. Yeshua, Jesus, had three parents because the angel Gabriel came to Joseph first, and he went in unto Mary. A Y chromosome was needed as Yeshua was a male child. That's why Joseph was needed. And Joseph was from the tribe of Judah, not Mary. She was of the Levite tribe. 104. Thus, this Jesus had more DNA than most because of his tri-parentage, the tribe, birth, or what they're talking about on the news now, three-parent birth. And a brid, being Gabriel, was a son of God. 105. This also occurred in ancient Egypt with the birth of Harar, Heru, Horus, and Ashtat, Aset, Isis, and Asar, Usir, Osiris, and involved Manan, Min, for the male seed or the father, Ashtat, the mother, and Asar, the spirit. Thus, three parents again, a son of God and a son of man. 106. Today, there are cases where people have more than one type of DNA in their body, and it has caused controversy. 107. Like the case of a woman from London who was applying for public assistance, and after taking a DNA test, the results concluded she was not the mother of her own children, although she actually was their biological birth mother. 108. Her DNA did not match with her children's because she had two sets of DNA. 109. Now, the question should be, where did this other DNA come from? 110. Yeshua, Jesus, was a unique being because he had three parents, and if the type of technology existed to test DNA back then, this fact would have been revealed. 111. This odd occurrence is called the chimera, the presence of more than, let me write that down so you all can go and research that. It might be pronounced, some people pronounce it chimera, yeah, chimera. That's when you're dealing with a 3-parent birth. And this was recent, like I think just a couple of weeks ago in the news, right? So this is something that Master Teacher was breaking down years ago. The presence of more than one DNA is a being, human or animal. 112, he said, I came to my own, yet my own people like him with wabar hair like lamb's wool, yet they refused to listen to him. 113, he could not then raise the 144,000 to be saved from the beast, from being on the menu, okay, from the blood-lusting overlords of the Adamites. 114, yet there was another anointed Messiah called the anointed cherub, the man of sin, right? Read this in Ezekiel 28:14. Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth and have set thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of the fire. When we say anointed, people just think about Messiah, right? Or the Messiah is anointed, but this is talking about an anointed cherub. And it's saying walk up and down, to and fro. Who uses this symbol? Let me read that again. This is, go and read it. Ezekiel 28:14. Thou art the anointed cherub that covereth, and I have set thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. 115. This art deceiver purpose is to keep you bound here and worshipping his image and ignorant as to who you really are, and your purpose to return to who you are with the sense of Nawaf, pride we had as a Nawuf, proud, powerful people. 116. It is that time again to rise like the phoenix renewed from its ashes. 117. I, Parnabab Yanun, the master Yanun, as your Muddad, renewer of your story, have come to prepare you in order for you to make your transformation back to the Samam, divine. And that concludes our Power to Write for today, racial deception. Remember to always get your copy. You still need to build your own library. And we do this for the benefit of, some people who may have visual impairment, and we literally think you should build your own library so that you can study and share this knowledge with other people. Tawakum, until next time, Wadu.